Hey guys, welcome back to another great cooking episode. Today is pretty simple. All we're going to do is we're going to take some zucchinis, we're going to cut them in half, hollow them out. Once they're hollowed out, we're going to make a stuffing for them. It's going to be hamburger and some spices, some cheese, stuff like that. And then the zucchini that you took out of the center, we'll chop that up and add that in with the hamburger as well. Bake it in the oven and it's going to come out delicious. So, first things first, get you some zucchinis. A little bit thicker is always better. It makes it easier to fill them up later. So we're going to just go ahead and chop off the ends. And you can discard the ends. Try to cut it in half as best you can. And once you've got it cut in half, take your knife and take it at an angle and just kind of work it down. Don't go all the way to the tips because you want it to stay closed. And I always just try to cut a triangle when I'm doing this, so that way the blade can touch in the middle and your center will just pop out nice. So you see I've got that first piece and I'm just going to save that aside. And you can see if you have enough room, you might want to take your knife back down through it again. I'm just going to widen it out a little bit because I like a little bit of the extra hamburger and stuff in mine. The more room you have in each boat, the more filling you can get into it. And just be careful not to go all the way through. Another way you can go about doing this is you could always take a spoon and kind of just shave down through the center. But I prefer just to cut it out. It's just how I've always done it. Now you've got your boat made, and you're just going to set that in a 13x9 baking pan. And once you have them all set up and in there, you're going to add about an inch of water to the bottom of the pan, cover it with a foil, piece of aluminum foil, and put it into your oven at 375. You're going to bake that for about 20 minutes. Okay, now as you can see, we've got all of our zucchinis ready to go here. So I'm just going to go ahead and start filling that up with a little bit of water. You don't want it to dry out while you're baking. Okay, I'm going to call that good enough. Next thing to do is wrap it with some aluminum foil. Once you've got it wrapped up to your liking, go ahead and pop that in the oven for 20 minutes. While you have your zucchini boats in the oven cooking for the first time, go ahead and take all the stuff you've reserved out from the center of them, and we're just going to cube it up. We're not trying to make it real small. Okay, and now we got our chunks. We're just going to go ahead and once again kind of reserve that to the side. Okay, now once you've got your zucchinis cut up and you've got the boats in the oven, the next thing you're going to need is about 1/3 cup of chopped bell pepper. The recipe calls for red bell pepper, but I really don't like red bell pepper, so I substitute it for green and it works fine. The recipe calls for both chopped pepper and chopped onion at 1/3 cup. So go ahead and chop up your onion as well. Mine might have been a little bit bigger than my measuring cup. But I'm just going to add all that in with the zucchini that we had chopped up earlier. And we're going to save it aside because here when we start our beef, we're going to go ahead and mix it all in with it anyway. Okay, and now our next thing after the onion and peppers is we need about a teaspoon of chopped garlic. For our chopped or a teaspoon of chopped garlic, I just start with my cloves. I've already got these cleaned up a little bit and just going to chop them up a little. And we have just a little more than a teaspoon, and garlic's never scared me off any, so I'm just going to go ahead and put the extra in there too. When you're chopping it up, try to get it as fine as you can. That way it disperses evenly through your beef. Now I keep saying beef, but you can actually make this with turkey burger, chicken burger, something like that. It's actually what the recipe's supposed to have, but yeah, no. I'm going to use beef every time. Once we've got our veggies all chopped, it's time to start cooking our hamburger. And while that's going, we're going to go ahead and add our onions and our pepper and our garlic all into that. I threw the onions and the peppers in with my zucchini that I chopped up earlier, forgetting that I actually didn't want to throw the zucchini in at the same time, otherwise it'll get a little too soft. So I just did my best to kind of separate them there. But we're going to let that cook until the meat's all the way cooked, just about all the way cooked. And we're going to let the vegetables start to soften a little. Okay, once your 20 minutes is up with your zucchini in the oven, you're going to pull them out. And once you've got that opened up, you're going to start to remove your zucchini, set them aside, and drain off all the water. Carefully drain the water out. Don't burn yourself. Then we're going to want to take 1 cup of our tomato sauce, pasta sauce, whatever you're using. They recommend marinara. Me and Kayla like this farmer's vegetable. Or garden vegetable blend. It's really nice. You're going to want to use about 1 cup of it to put in the bottom of your dish. The rest in a little bit we'll be dumping in with the beef that we're cooking. Go ahead and spread that around in the bottom. And then we're going to put our zucchini back in. Okay. Now that you've got all your hamburger and vegetables cooked, we're going to go ahead and try to pour off as much of the fat as we can. With the fat now all drained off, we'll go ahead and start adding in some more stuff. We're going to add in all the flesh of the zucchini now. We're also going to add in the rest of our jar of sauce. We're going to add in about 1/4 cup of Italian parsley. Here we have 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of Italian seasoning, about a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, and then I use a teaspoon of crushed red pepper. The recipe says to use 1/2 teaspoon or a taste, so I always add more. We're going to get this all stirred up here. One thing to remember about this particular sauce that we're using is it is a fairly thick sauce and it has a lot of chunks in it, so there's not as much liquid as in a lot of your pasta sauces and things. Nowhere near as much as in marinara sauce. So if you ever use it for like a lasagna or anything, I always add just a wee little bit of water to kind of give you a little more liquid. And now you're supposed to leave this simmer for about 15 minutes to help cook the flesh of the zucchini and just to let all the flavors kind of marry together. Okay, so it's been about 15 minutes that we've been letting everything simmer together. Now it's time we're going to take it and we're just going to start spooning it out and into each of the zucchini boats. And that's the last of it. Kind of smooth that all out. And we're going to put aluminum foil back on top of this. And we're going to pop it right back into the oven again for another 20 minutes. Okay, so once you've got your 20 minutes in of it baking, we're going to go ahead and pull it out. And we're going to add some shredded mozzarella and shredded Parmesan to the top of it. Now, I'm not actually adding shredded mozzarella to mine. I got mozzarella pearls. They just break up into these nice little balls of mozzarella. And I'm just going to layer those all over the top of it. Once you got your mozzarella over it, I suggest shredding some Parmesan over it. I don't like to use just like the sprinkle stuff, you know, the green stuff. I like to get a real chunk of Parmesan and actually grate it over it myself. Okay, and we're going to call that done. Now, if you have a broiler in your oven, go ahead and turn it on. We're going to put this under the broiler. If you don't have a broiler, just turn the temperature up a little bit from your 375, however high you feel comfortable doing it. We're going to add some breadcrumbs on top of all of our cheese. I would suggest using panko, not just like fine, but get the little bit coarser stuff. And you can get the Italian flavored or the plain. Sometimes I'll even use the Japanese. That's all up to your own personal taste. Right now I'm using the Italian. Once you've got that on there, we're going to stick it under the broiler and leave it in there just until the breadcrumbs are brown and the cheese is all melted. There it is, guys, hot out of the oven. It looks amazing, and trust me, it is. All you got to do now is pull yourself out one of the little zucchini boats and wait for it to cool down. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and have a great day.